project team here with Washington State Parks. Welcome to the Goldendale Observatory. Sorry about the audio pieces there. Hopefully that won't be an issue throughout the presentation today. What I did want to do before we get started, just take an opportunity to recognize the elected officials in the room who are not part of the speaking party today. If you would at least stand up and please introduce yourself. You're probably mingled out through the crowd here. I know there's at least one. I know there's at least one.
State Representative Gina Montfrecker.
Thank you.
We're glad you're here, Gina.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Chris Corey, Gina Montfrecker,
Yes. Thank you. And anyone else? Just want to make sure we're not skipping anybody.
Right, I know we've got a couple of Goldendale City Council members.
Yeah, so if you're a member of the Goldendale City Council.
Hey,
All right.
Jones, Goldendale City Council.
All right,
Thank you.
I'm Wyman Rowling, Goldendale City Council.
All right, well, thank you very much for being here today. So what I'm going to do now to get things started is I am going to invite up the chair of the Washington State Parks and Recreation Commission, Mark Brown, to introduce our first speaker.
Can everybody hear me okay? Excellent. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'll be making some remarks a little later today. My job at this moment is to make one introduction, but I'm actually going to, right off the top, go off the script because I want our folks here to all know our state's First Lady. And I also want you to know she has been a real supporter of state parks. She's had the foundation in the mansion. She hosted a camp out, a national event that we were part of in state parks to get kids out in the out of doors. She's been all over state parks. I remember her and I being together on the shores of the Nisqually River at what now is the Nisqually State Park. So let's start out with a real shout out for our state's First Lady, Trudy Inslee, right here. So folks, I've had the opportunity on a number of occasions to introduce our featured speaker, and it's always an honor and a privilege. He probably doesn't remember the first time we met, but I do. He was a young attorney running for the State House of Representatives from a district that was largely Yakima-centric. Back then, I was a young union official, and I was dispatched to Yakima to meet him and to interview him and talk to him about some issues of concern to us. And I got to say, in all honesty, I was very impressed then, and I've always been impressed ever since, Governor. I want to say that he won that election to the State House of Representatives and represented the people in Yakima in that area for a number of years. He then ran and was elected to the United States House of Representatives, was elected, I think I already said that, and ended up representing a good part of eastern Washington. You know, he had a break in elective service, but no break in public service. Between elected posts, he also was tapped by President Clinton to be the regional administrator for health and human services. And then he, drawing on the family history and the fact that they had roots, deep roots in Bainbridge Island in western Washington, he ended up running and being elected to a different congressional district, this time in western Washington. And he served in the United States House of Representatives for a good many years, and he even was the author of Apollo's Fire, which I hope all of you read, a real call to action on the climate front. And then in 1912, well, let's see it. I haven't known him that long. All right, in 2012, he won our state's highest office, and for the past 9+ years has been the 23rd governor of the state of Washington. Now, I remember that election, and I remember what he walked into the day he took that oath of office the following January. I think all of you can remember those days as well. But typically for him, he went to work, rolled up his sleeves, and you know what? He helped lead us out of the Great Recession. He helped reboot and grow our state's economy. He led on the climate front like no governor ever has, and he also has been one of the architects of navigating the minefields, the multi-billion-dollar minefields associated with the McCleary decision, which you all remember back then. And all of that time, through all of this governorship, he's been a real champion of public lands, outdoor recreation, and, of course, state parks. I want to also just say, somewhat on a personal level, I was thinking that it was months, but now, sadly, it's been years. But in recent years, as we all know, with an almost unimaginable weight on his shoulders, he has led our state ably, skillfully, and compassionately through the COVID-19 pandemic, for which history will remember him and his efforts very well. So, ladies and gentlemen, good governor, great friend of state parks, a good friend. Welcome our Governor, Jay Inslee.
Good afternoon. Mark knows how to lay it on thick, doesn't he? This is fun. I am so happy to be here. We got great legislators, Mosberger, Corey, Honeyford. You've all done great things. I'm great that you've fashioned a capital budget that can make this possible. Mr. Mayor, where's the mayor here? Mr. Mayor, I'm glad that we've had a partnership with you. Local leadership means everything. And the legislature has been working with you to shell out some money to you, which we know you're going to use to great advantage. Well, I'm excited because there have been so many discoveries. I know this is a public educational institution, but let's not forget some of its discoveries. Number one, it has discovered that the center of this galaxy of the Milky Way is Goldendale, Washington. Okay? And I think that's a discovery. Number two, and I just learned of this, I met a gentleman coming in here, and his name is Chuck Rice. Chuck, could you stand up just for a second? Chuck, could you just stand up for a second? Chuck told me he's 88 years of age, and this observatory has discovered a star older than Chuck Rice. And I want to tell you some good things have happened here. This is a perfect example of what our parks do, because it brings literally the universe to Washingtonians. And I love our parks. I grew up in our parks at Tawana Park. My dad was a biology teacher. My mom used to revegetate the alpine meadows up on Mount Rainier. And now when I see families enjoying our parks, it just gives me a thrill. We just stopped by Horse Thief Park, and we went up to the butte to walk around. And there was a family there, and my granddaughter Zoe met a young girl named Summer, and they became best friends in 5 minutes because they discovered lizards in that state park. And they were fascinated by those lizards. And the reason they got to discover the lizards is because we have a Washington State Park System. How about a round of applause for everybody associated with the Washington State Park System? And it's all about families when it comes to the parks. But I want to talk about this park, this observatory specifically. It is unique. It is one of, if not the largest, publicly accessible telescopes in the United States. And can you think of anything better than any governmental agency can do in world history than to give a view back into time in the universe? And that's what this observatory does. And it's open to everybody in the state of Washington. To the rich, to the not so rich, to the young, to the not so young. Everybody's accessible to the universe. That is a pretty cool thing to be able to see what's going on here. And we know what it does for people. It inspires people. It inspires young people. I got to talk to Kayla Barron, who's a Richland High School graduate, who a few weeks ago, who was, 90 miles up and going 17,000 miles an hour, and I was sitting in my kitchen. And she was talking about how exciting it was to be on the space station from Richland High School. It was really interesting what she told me, and I know there's going to be other kids come through here and they're going to get the same kind of inspiration. Maybe it's to be an astronaut. Maybe it's to be an astrophysicist. Maybe it's to be a mechanical engineer. Maybe it'll be an expert person who goes into advanced manufacturing. But all of them can take inspiration of what they might be doing in their lives, like Kayla did at a certain age. And I just want to share something with her. She told me that I thought was pretty profound. I asked her what was the most powerful impression about space. And it was interesting to me. She didn't say how bright the stars are. She didn't say how dark space is. She didn't say how lonely space is. She said, the principal impression I have is how thin the atmosphere is of the planet Earth. And I thought that was an interesting observation. She says it's like a little thin blue tissue paper wrapped around Earth. And when you see that, she says, it makes you realize how precious and how fragile, in some sense, this beautiful planet we have is. And so her thoughts, being in space, were as much and more about her own home planet than, somewhere out in a distant galaxy. I thought that was pretty profound. And when you think about it, when you look out through this telescope, you're kind of seeing humanity. You're seeing the infinite capability of humans and the infinite creativity and innovation of amateurs, Washingtonians, who built and ground this telescope hour after hour. You're seeing our uniqueness. They've been looking through this telescope for decades, and they haven't discovered another civilization yet. Pretty unique at the moment. And I think when you look through this telescope, you get more of an impression about our home than you do maybe about space, just like Caleb Barron. And I think that's pretty important right now when the waters of the Columbia River are getting too hot for salmon to live, and the glaciers are melting on Mount Rainier National Park, and our forests are burning, all of this because of climate change. I think we're seeing why this place is worth protecting when we look through this telescope. That is a profoundly powerful thing that the Washington State Parks are giving to people. And so I really want to thank the parks. I want to thank our legislators. I want to thank the taxpayers who've helped finance this. It means a lot to me what you're doing here, and it's fun to get to celebrate. Now, I want to do an honor I have. Well, I have two honors. First, I would like to introduce my three grandchildren. I want them to stand up. Brody, Chase, and Zoe. They're the ones who are being inspired by this observatory, too. So I thank you guys for being here. Now I get a certain honor. If I meet someone who really inspires me as governor, I can name them the Washingtonian of the day. It's a certain executive authority that I have. And when I do that, I take off my Washington Apple pin and I pin it on them, and they get to be the Washingtonian of the day. There's only one of these a day, and I don't do it every day. I have to be inspired when somebody really inspires me. So today, I want to name Washingtonian of the day one of the leaders in the Washington State Park System of this district, Jill Sprague Carr. Jill, could you come up here so that I can pin this on you? The reason I'm honoring her this way is because individually I know she's done some great work, but she stands for all the people in the park system who do everything they can to give Washingtonians their own state. And I've seen them using duct tape to fix an outhouse over in the coast. I've seen them taking care of people if they need water. These people are the best. So congratulations, Washingtonian and Jill. Can I pin this on you here? Is that okay? All right. Thanks for your work.
Thank you for acknowledging that I'm just a representative of all the teams.
You're a pretty good one. Thank you, Jill. One last comment on a personal note. My late law partner, Doug Peters, was on the commission for a while. And I think Doug's spirit is here today and his family. And Mark, thanks for your leadership. Congratulations to Goldendale and the whole state of Washington. Enjoy.
Thank you, Governor and family, for being here and being part of this community project celebration. Really appreciate your time.
I have space.
All right. So do I. Let's keep it that way. So our next speaker I'd like to ask to come up to the podium is representing the neighboring 15th District, Senator Jim Honeyford.
thank you for inviting me down here. This has been a goal for a long time to have, and I say congratulations to State Parks, City of Goldendale, Klickitat County, and the citizens of Washington to have this facility available. As I understand, I think we're the only park system, and maybe I can correct it, that has an observatory and an astronomer on staff.
At the state park level.
Yes. So that's really a rare honor to have this here in Washington State. A long time ago, I was elected to represent the 15th District, which included Klickitat County. And the people in Klickitat County told me about a 3-phase plan for the observatory that seemed to be sitting on the shelf, and nothing was happening. And so I've been pushing ever since, and for 28 years now, we finally have come almost to a conclusion. There's still a little bit of a ramp and things to get up to the observation deck on the top, but that will be coming, I'm sure. I'm sure there'll be some capital budget money for that in the future. So thank you very much. Congratulations, and we'll see you all around.
Thank you, Senator Honeyford. No project happens without a project champion, and your dedication to this project through the years is very much appreciated by the Commission. Very much, thank you. So what I'd like to do at this point in time is ask the Chair, Mark Brown, to come back up and have some remarks on behalf of the Washington State Parks and Recreation Commission. Commissioner Brown?
Thanks again. I'm going to, I don't know what the right word is, but I'm going to fall out from the prescribed program because I want to do another introduction. Mrs. Honeyford is here today. She's well known as one of our state's leading advocates for historic preservation, a real champion for historic preservation. I can't tell you how many meetings and events I've been at, and she's always there as a champion and a promoter. And so I just want you all to meet Mrs. Honeyford. Would you mind standing so we can acknowledge you, please? Well, thank you, Ryan, and good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of State Parks, welcome to all of you, and thank you for joining us for what today I'm going to describe as sort of the inauguration of this facility. It's been here a long time. The construction work was completed, as you know, a couple of years ago, but because of COVID, the official inauguration has been delayed, and that's what we're here to do today. I do want to say that I'm so proud of the historic remodel of this amazing building here at Goldendale Observatory State Park Heritage Site, which is a very, very unique and important part, as both Senator Honeyford and the Governor pointed out, of our park system, and one of our 124 developed state parks. You may not know that, one of the largest state park systems in the nation, and you may also be surprised to learn older than the National Park Service. In fact, we just turned 109 years old about 2 weeks ago. So we've been around a long time, and certainly grateful to the people 109 years ago that thought it would be a good idea to start collecting this amazing treasury of state parks and keeping.
Before my great-grandma was born.
Before your great-grandma was born? Well, okay. So let me say that I have the honor of being the commission chair this year, but there's 7 of us, and we are an absolute team. And I'm going to ask my commission colleagues to please stand so you can see who they are, and we'll hold the applause until I introduce all of them. Starting with our commission vice chair, Ken Bounds, right over here. Hold your applause. Our commission secretary, next to him, Sophia Dannenberg. Our immediate past chair, where's Commissioner Latimer? Right over here. Unfortunately, our senior commissioner had a brand new knee 4 weeks ago and had some issues arise associated with that, so he's not able to be here, but certainly we want to acknowledge Steve Milner, who's been an amazing champion of this facility and an amazing member of our commission. And Commissioner Lori Conley, where's Lori? Right over here. And Commissioner Holly Williams. Holly's right over here. Let's give a round of applause to our State Parks Commissioner. And by the way, all appointed by Governor Inslee. I also have the honor of introducing some former colleagues of mine who are here, longtime commission members, and again, I'm going to ask them to stand and hold your applause till I introduce them all. former Commissioner Pat Lance, Cindy Whaley, Cease Vote, and Russ Cahill. I saw Russ earlier. I know, Russ, you're here. Where's Russ? Right over here. Let's give them a nice round of applause. And I've been on the commission about 11 years, but I have to say, today's a first for me because, and really the first time in a public setting that I can introduce our new parks director. She's been with the agency for almost 15 years, an amazing, dynamic young leader that's going to take us into the future. She was just appointed and just took office 6 days ago. So she is new to this role, but not new to state parks. Meet the state parks director, Diana Puig, right over here. By the way, another piece of history, the first woman to ever lead our agency, so we can give a shout out on that front too. So just talking a little bit personally, I love this place. I don't know how many times I've been here, but dozens over the years. Julie and I brought our daughters here when they were young. And I want you to know that the first time I ever saw a binary star was through the lens of that telescope over there, the first time telegraph. Sorry about that, but the first time I ever saw a binary star. How many of you have seen a binary star? Not many. Come back tonight at 9 o'clock and I'll invite you in a minute to the details of that, but we're going to give you all a chance to see a binary star was through the lens of that telescope. And as the governor said, the mission statement here is to provide a unique public science destination. Now, as Ryan knows, during my time on the commission, I've tried really hard to learn as much as I can about the history associated with our 124 parks. And like most of the others, this place has a really amazing history, You know, it was a long time ago that there was some folks in Clark County with some financial support from Clark College that built a telescope. And they needed a place away from the bright night lights in Portland metropolitan area to find a home for that telescope. And they found themselves here in Goldendale. I've heard a couple different iterations of this, but talking to one of the Goldendale City Council members, and my understanding is there was a restaurant owned by a city council person which hosted sort of that first conversation between a city official and these folks from Clark County with a telescope. This particular council member then brought the mayor into the conversation, and as they say, the rest is history. This facility opened in October of 1973, so we're just on the cusp of the 50th anniversary. And in 1981, the facility and grounds became a state park. And that's kind of an interesting history, too. I recently learned, and Governor, you may not be aware of this, but former State Representative Denny Heck, now our Lieutenant Governor, was the driving force behind the budget proviso and initial funding that made that acquisition happen. And I called him the other day and I asked him, I said, what motivated you to lead that effort? And he told me that there were three things. First, it was in his district. You know, these districts change with redistricting and population growth, but first it was in his district. Secondly, in his words, this is a quote now, the people there wanted it to help ensure it would continue to operate. And thirdly, in another quote, I thought it was such a unique opportunity and would strengthen the park system. And then he added, it was one of the best things I ever did, very cool. And I think the thousands of school-aged children and others of all ages who have visited here and looked into the heavens through the lens of that telescope would agree, pretty cool indeed. Now, what we're inaugurating today is the completion of a $6 million project, and as Senator Honeyford knows, began actually over a decade ago. That's how long it takes to get everything in order, the funding, the construction, etc. And this particular project includes high-speed fiber internet, enhanced seating, transformation of the learning center that we're sitting in, greatly enhanced interpretive exhibits, new and enhanced program spaces, and again, as I think the governor mentioned, the largest permanently mounted public telescope was also, by the way, dramatically upgraded as a result of this project. And I'm very proud of the fact that this newly remodeled building is already the recipient of three architectural awards, including the very prestigious 2020 International Architecture Master Prize. Pretty darn cool, right? Now, as is always the case, there's a lot of people to thank. No one did more than Senator Honeyford. Another shout out for Jim. Governor has been supporting this project since his first day in office. Thank you, Governor, and also thank you, Governor, for your presence today. Let's give another round of applause to our Governor. And I want to thank Representatives Corey and Mossbrucker. And where are you at? Well, we have here. Would you stand up one more time? And in any event, thank you so much for your leadership and support for this project. Let's give them another shout out here. And you're going to hear from him in a moment, but you know, I used to be a mayor, and I'm telling you, having that community support, the governor's already mentioned that as well. The people here are the ones that in large part made this happen. And I'm talking about, I met a person who was here on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, all the local elected officials, including, of course, the city of Goldendale, and all of the legislators along the history of this project that helped. Thank you so very much. And I also want to especially thank our private sector partner who actually did the work here in terms of the construction, the design, and all of that. And that's Tappanee Incorporated. I know we've got a couple of their representatives here. Where are you at? Stand up and be recognized by the crowd. And I want all of you to know, because I know this isn't always the case, the staff tells me they really went the extra distance, including some in-kind contributions to this particular project. And so, again, thank you very much. And then also thanks to our great headquarters and regional staff who worked with them and managed this project as well. And then finally, just a shout out to our regional manager, Scott. Thank you, Ryan, for your work. Thank you, Jill. You've already been recognized. You haven't met Troy yet. Troy Carpenter, our specialist here on site, and all of the folks in headquarters and in the field that helped make today's festivities happen. Thank you all very, very much. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. Now that invitation I promised you. Troy is, we call him our stellar interpreter. Did you get that? Troy is going to lead a program here tonight at 9 o'clock. Could last up to 3 hours. Don't have to stay the whole amount of time. Clear skies tonight, he's promised. But come back at 9 o'clock for a special program. If you're here in town and interested, please join us. I've been to Troy's presentations, and you won't be disappointed. And then I'm going to be the first person that's going to do this. I'm looking forward to seeing most, if not all of you back here in 1 year, because we're going to celebrate the 50th anniversary, right? Thank you all very much. Ryan?
Thank you, Commissioner Brown. So, you know, it's been mentioned several times already today that this is really a community partnership project. And we've, as Commissioner Brown spoke to, you know, we've been managing this site in partnership with the city of Goldendale since 1981. So, you know, over 40 years now. And this is a very valuable partnership. This project wouldn't be happening without the support of the city of Goldendale as well. So I'd like Mayor Mike Canon to come forward and say a few remarks on behalf of the city of Goldendale.
Hello, everyone. I'm probably going to have to upgrade my sound system by quite a bit. But this is quite a delightful event. And as mayor of as mayor of the city of Goldendale, it is my honor and my distinct pleasure to welcome not only Governor Inslee, but his family members as well. It's very, very pleasing that you're here, very much so. As well, our distinguished legislators from the state. We've had support from place after place after place and person after person. And we deeply appreciate all that each one of you have contributed to this cooperative effort. For Goldendale, this observatory is really a game changer in a very, very, very nice way. It picks up the city, it picks up our citizens. We just feel fantastic that something like this was put here by the state of Washington. It's a big thing, and we're really thankful for it. You know, we've been through a very difficult time these last 2 years with the pandemic. That was always a very trying situation all over the country. But for me, the biggest shock as mayor was that on the threshold of opening up and celebrating like we are today, COVID hit, and everything shut down. Everybody was gone. It was really sad, and it was quite a disappointment. It was kind of like Santa Claus had come. He didn't bring gifts. He took the tree. And Washington State, my background, I met the West Coast when I was in the Navy. And on my way out of the Navy, I came up and camped through Washington State and across. I never forgot it, and I'm glad I'm back. I absolutely love this state. The people as well. And I had, as a Navy person, I had a California plate. That was not copied. But the people were nice. They just didn't like that license plate. But Washington State is a state with wonderful and very unique state parks. Absolutely phenomenal state parks. And we can be proud of every one of them. And we're especially in Goldendale proud of this beautiful monument, the telescope we've had for a long time, but now with this magnificent building around it, it's a real wonderful thing for each one of us. I'm hoping one day, as far as future things for our observatory, is that we will have projects by astrophysicists and by universities, that they'll come and do projects, because this is an incredibly unique observatory, and this telescope with this upgrade is amazing, absolutely amazing. I think we're going to see not only state interest, community interest, of course, regional interest, but I think we're going to have quite a bit of international interest, because this is a very, very unique resource for astrophysics, very, very much so. And I feel like we may even have NASA here one day. You never know. We don't want the rockets, just some of the guys that go up. I think these things can happen. I really do, and it's due to the excellent and very far-sighted work of Washington State Parks. It's been something that it's not something new that's just discovered. You've worked on this for years and years, and it's a very, very worthwhile project. And we're very proud of the achievements and your success in bringing this to Washington State. And I want to address for a minute Trudy, because I met Trudy when she came with the governor to see our pump storage project, and I was part of the group that brought Trudy here to see the observatory at that time, I think before it was opened. And one of the things that she said, and I never forgot it, was she had so much fun seeing everything and all the things about this building and about the telescope and all. And she said, I'm coming back with my grandchildren. And she did it. And she also brought along the governor. That's pretty good. But it's something special. And I think especially coming as a family, that's quite a beautiful thing for something as important as a state park like this. It is just something unique. Goldendale's proud of it, and we are delighted to welcome every one of you here. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Canon, and certainly look forward to future of the partnership with the City of Goldendale. Thanks for your remarks. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I just wanted to, recognize a few folks. Stephen Stout, if you could stand up there. Stephen Stout was the interpretive specialist at this facility. He started working here before it was a state park. He retired back in 2013-ish, somewhere in that zone, but he stands as the longest-serving interpretive specialist in Washington State Parks. Thank you for your service, Steve. Certainly one of the brains at the table trying to figure out how to move this project forward. Appreciate that. I also wanted to touch on some of the design here. I know that we have Patano Studios, who's the architect responsible for the design here. And also on the exhibit side, they're not present today. I just wanted to mention Formations out of Portland, Oregon, as well as C&G Design out of Manhattan, who were the sort of the exhibit design team that we worked with to design this space with Patano Studios. So I just wanted to give that shout out here as we're culminating. And so I'm almost done. We're almost done here, but I wanted to at least provide a little bit of context for the room you're in. One of the themes that we developed in the development of this project over the years was that we're all made of star stuff. And some of you may have heard a similar quote by Carl Sagan back in the early 1980s in his TV series, The Cosmos. And what we tried to do, and what we hope we've accomplished, is to sort of take that concept and kind of weave it into the experience here. One example of that is, the theater is a periodic table. You're all sitting at some kind of element sitting in the universe, correct? Yes. Got carbon over here. And so, that was part of this idea that, when the elements that you see in the room, the ones with the white chairs, those are the elements that make up the human body. The elements that make up the atmosphere that we breathe. Elements that, basically create the resources that we live on are all made of star stuff. We're all made of star stuff. So that's hopefully something that you'll take away from your experience here today. We'd at this point like to close the ceremony part of the event and invite you to experience the exhibits, the telescope. There'll be multiple telescopes stationed throughout the campus here. If you want to journey around, they also have some refreshments outside. I do ask for your patience. We're going to have the dignitaries. We'll have a photo opportunity right after the presentation, and it'll be near the front doors there. So we just ask for your patience in that process. But with that being said, I again would like to thank Governor Inslee and his family, Senator Honeyford, Jerry Honeyford, Commissioner Brown, and all existing commissioners, past commissioners, Director Dupuy, the leadership of state parks, and all of you, the city, the folks that have come out to help celebrate this community project. Very much appreciate you being here, and thank you for your time.